Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be looking at this position, and first of all I would recommend you to pause the video and try to come up with the best white continuation. Okay. So black is up 2 pieces. I mean, the knight on b3 is hanging, but black's currently up 2 pieces. But you know, the white rook's under attack. This position is absolutely crazy. So the thing that white has going for him is that the black king is basically undefended. So white definitely smells mate here. I'll tell you that. But now we have to start calculating. So first of all, whenever you calculate, you should start off with calculating the checks. I calculated queen f5 and queen h5. Queen h5 might actually be the best move, but let's say a move like queen h5, right? And black were to make a move like king g7. For example, if the move queen h6 in this position, and black makes the move king g8, I don't really see checkmate for white. I don't really see a way how he can concretely win this position. That's why white made the move rook f1 here, rook a f1. The point is that first of all, if the move queen h5, king g7, white can still make the move rook a f1, and the lines basically transpose. I actually think that this move queen h5 is a little bit more precise because it kind of gets rid of one of black's defensive resources, but it is still, rook a f1 is still good enough to win. It's still totally winning. When you calculate, you have to look at the forcing moves. If you see that they don't work, you got to look for other things. And rook a f1 is actually quite a natural move because you bring in the last attacker. So now the pawn f7 is threatened. This is the big problem. So black has a few moves in this position that he could try. The reason why I say that queen h5 was maybe a little bit more precise is because black has this move knight to g7 where white can take on f7, and through when black can sacrifice his queen and maybe get a position with a knight and rook for queen, but black is just still totally losing, so I don't even think it really matters, rook f1 or queen h5. And this is a very simple line. Although white needs to calculate this. I mean, he needs to calculate the rook and come back to f1, right? That would be embarrassing. So, bishop d5, which I thought was the best defensive resource, and rook d5, rook d7 are possible. Now, in the game, rook d7 was played, and now you see the reason by rook a f1, because all of a sudden, let's go for the same line, queen h5 check, and king g8 is the best move. But if the move king g7, then there's this move queen h6. And in the game, queen g5 was played, but I'll talk about that later. But queen h6, king g8, and then rook to g6. F takes g6, and rook f8 is checkmate. That's why we need this extra rook to win the game for white. He needs to bring all of his attackers in. As you can see, black has all of his pieces on the queen side, and white has all of his pieces on the king side. So he's basically attacking with extra pieces. Although if black gets out of it, he's just up a bunch of material. So on the move bishop d5, there's basically the exact same story happens. On the move king g7, there's the move queen h6, king g8, rook g6, f takes g6, and rook f8 mate. And in both cases, if the move king g8, there's this move rook h6. And basically, black cannot stop rook h8 check and queen h6 mate, or rook h8 check, king g7, and rook queen h7 mate. So really, rook h8 check, if he cannot parry that, he's just losing. he can try this bishop takes g2, but white can, without even having to calculate, maybe king takes g2 wins, but king g1. And on the move queen takes a7, for example, queen a7 check, sorry. There's this move bishop f2, and now the queen and mate are threatened. So black's counterplay gets nowhere, absolutely. So that is why I'll just show you how the game ended. King to g7, and queen h6 was missed, so white missed the maiden three. However, queen to g5 check. King f8. Now queen h6 still wins, but rook h6 was played. Now you see the other idea by the move rook f1. I mean, white should probably calculate bishop takes g2, but queen takes g2 is just mate. If maybe another move wins, but the point being that on the move f6, there's this move rook takes f6, and in this position, actually, black resigned. Black actually cannot really get out of all the mate threats. Knight takes f6, queen f6, check, and next move is rook h8, rook f7. At least you can go rook h8, king e7, and rook takes f7, king f7, queen g8 mate. So that is the power of bringing in the last attacker. You have to calculate all of the forcing moves, and if they don't work, you have to create some threats. And the position actually looks winning. Not to mention white was under time pressure when he was playing this game, which is kind of nerve-wracking to be playing it without so much material. But if also there's a little bit of an elimination process, if you see that the forcing moves don't really work, then you have to come up with something else. What better way is there to bring another attacker? Just kind of nerve-wracking since black might have a tempo to defend his position, but when calculated correctly, and black really cannot defend. So if you have any other positions that you want me to show or anything, please leave in the comments. All right, thanks.